with you. I have a student in my Freedom Fashion online class. She's up to week 2 now, and she had a specific question about model drawing. So the first thing we learn in that class is some art skills, art supplies. Actually, that's what's in the free lesson that you get when you subscribe at my website, which is linked in my bio. But in week 2, we start taking we're taking the figure, the female figure, and sketching it into different standing poses so that you can then dress those into all kinds of fashion. Hi, Michelle. Welcome back. So we're going to do a little model drawing. I have to go out in a little bit, so I'm going to get straight to the point. Yay. Happy, yeah, I love figure drawing. Is the bomb. It's everything to me. Most of what you see on the wall right now is mostly faces, because I released a faces course and did a whole bunch of face work in the past few months. But let's go back. Hi, Michelle. Go ahead. I'm going to flip around. What I'm going to do is I'm going to sign into my Pinterest. Let me do that right now while you're here. Pinterest. My name on Pinterest is kind of weird. Oh, no, I don't want to stay on page. Hang on. I'm in Dropbox right now. Okay, Pinterest. And my name on there is Fashion Tribalista. I got to change that because I think it's too hard for people to find. I have a lot of great boards. Okay, no, I'm not going to model. Thanks. So then, although, I like modeling for my students, I'm going to go to my board. I have a lot of boards, but there's one that is all model poses. Okay, so here, let me flip around so you can Pinterest, Fashion Illustration Tribe. But if you actually look up my address, hi Isaac, is that Izaki, my friend? See, it's pinterest.com Fashion Tribalista. I don't know why. Oh, because Fashion Illustration Tribe was too long. Okay, and if you go there, you can see all my boards, fashion illustration, art supplies, etc. And I just want to show you that there is one called, I want you to know so that if you take the free course on my website, for example, here we go, fashion model drawings, let's see, it's only 200. This might be the wrong board. Yeah, okay, fashion model pose file for sketch class. And if you scroll through this, I want you to know for sure that I have all body types in here. So some days everything will be plus size, some days everything will be, other size. So you really have to scroll through to find what you need. Boa tarde, Miranda. Tudo bom, meu amor? Agora, and now I'm going to do model drawing. So I need to move. My student had a question. Her question was, how do I draw like hands or shoulders or things that I don't see? Now, what that means is, in some photos, let me find a good example. For example, this one, this model, can I make it bigger? You can't see her other shoulder, right? You can only see the shoulder in front. Start feeding you similar. So I like to use leotard and bathing suit models for my model sketching class because I want you to be able to explore standing poses. Okay, I'm going to use this one. This is perfect, okay? You want to be able to get standing models. Okay, so I'm going to use this one. And the thing is, she's saying, how do I draw the shoulder or the arm or the hand that I can't see? And that's what I want to talk about, and then I'm going to send her this replay. Hang on. Thing is, you want to be able to fit the whole figure on your screen, and I've noticed I'm quickly going to show you some of the techniques that we use in the first weeks of my online program so that you get like a taste of it. So what we do is we take like 1-inch lines and we sketch them out. This just gives us some control over how long we make things. I'm not someone who teaches extremely long legs or anything like that. But one of the things we talk about for fashion, because the models are always standing, we use length proportions to give us some control. And we use 8 head lengths as like a rule. And actually, there are no rules because people come in all sizes and all people are beautiful. So it's not a rule, but it's like a format that allows us to make control. Like we can adjust to the format, but it gives us some control. Okay, now we're going to get to the sketchy part. What, Angie? Happy Saturday. I'm working right now. I'll play with you in a minute. Where did my model go? Here she is. Okay, so first thing I want to do is just get her basic pose. So this model, I'm going to start with a balance line or a plumb line. What that does is that's so that she doesn't look like she's falling down. One of the biggest problems that model drawing and fashion sketchers get into is drawing models that look like they're falling. So the thing is, if you draw your head, drop a pure vertical, and pay attention to where her feet fall in relation to that vertical, which could literally mean that you're going to draw the feet and the head before you draw anything else. Thanks for the hearts. I know that feels crazy, but that's actually going to help you draw a figure with a lot of movement who isn't falling. So now here's the thing. I'm just plotting out like her legs. What we're talking about, my student's question was, what do you do? How do you draw the things you can't see? For example, this model, she's rotated. Let me bring the picture back for a minute. 3/4 rotation is the tricky one because what happens is she's not in profile and she's not looking straight at you. So, for example, there's a shoulder here that you don't really see, and this whole arm is hidden. And what I want to bring up about that is 2 really great tips. Are you ready? Let me know if you're ready. Okay, one is, first of all, I build her with blocks. So I have like forms that help me put together a body very quickly and lightly. Okay, especially when I'm warming up. I'm just going to be soft. But what I do is I always look at the head and then the shoulders and the bust as, they're almost like tennis balls or grapefruits, okay? They're these forms. And depending how she's rotated, I know that you're going to think, what? But this is something I use all the time when I'm sketching, so I don't think it's a joke, you know? Hang on a sec. You pay attention to where the head is, and then pay very close attention to where are the shoulders. You can drop like little rulers to help you know where those shoulders are in relation to the head. Like, how far out are they? Are they out, you know? And then how far below. And even if one of the shoulders is hidden, you can hide, you can actually, what I do is I pretend I have what I call X-ray vision. So, for example, in the photo I'm looking at, her bust is here, and this shoulder is actually behind the bust. Okay, but that doesn't mean I can't feel the whole shoulder first and then draw the bust over it and then just overlap it, which is exactly what's happening in this photo. This photo is really challenging, especially to a beginner, because our brain tends to look at things frontally. So you're thinking, oh, there are 2 shoulders and they're symmetrical and she has, 2 breasts, 1 on each side with a line down the middle. Like, you know that, and your brain is always going to think that, but in the drawing, that's not at all what you see. So as you can see what I have here, I drew that shoulder, and then I drew that bust, and I had to overlap it. And then, same thing here, this bust is overlapping that bust. So just hang on. When I'm drawing these, quote, what I call grapefruits, when I'm feeling out, isn't that a beautiful model? Yeah, I'm very much into, fashion is everybody. So I'm really, really beyond tired of only seeing, the skinny, et cetera, right? Just do whatever you want, but do all of it, So do you see what happened? This bust, thank you for sharing, is overlapping this one. And then this shoulder is here. And guess what else? If I'm, quote unquote, wrong, thank you, Miranda. You know, someday, is anyone here speaking Portuguese? I think sometimes I'm going to do some of these lessons in Portuguese. So what you do is I basically felt out the full mass and the full mass, but this one overlapped this one. And the shoulder, I almost don't see it, but I felt that out too. And then the front shoulder, I feel that out. These are all circles. Eu gostaria de dar aulas em português. Só que, não sei ter público. Como que eu faço isso? Mas eu quero. Okay, so I've taught at Parsons for 20 years and had a lot of Brazilian students over the years. But I'd love to connect. Anyway, and then the other thing is that this particular photo, her hair is actually covering her shoulder too. So in general, you'd like to collect photos where hair is not covering the shoulders when you're, like if I was having a model drawing class with you all live, which I hope to be doing this year in New York, having some workshops, but I would have my model put her hair up so that at first, for the same reason I put her in a leotard, I would also put her hair up so that you can really see the body itself and get to know how it works, how it moves in different settings without having to, what do you call it? Be masked and covered up by her hair. All right. And now I'm just going to also show for the whole rest of that body. Like, for example, she has an arm here. I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to draw the whole arm, even the parts I can't see. It's really important, I think. You know, once in a while, I'll teach you other tools that you can use instead of this, but I often use the tool where I'm drawing all the forms, you know, even the ones I can't see entirely. This is how I build my arms and hand shapes too. Hang on. It's kind of hard because my computer's off to the left. Okay. But what I was going to say is, for example, a lot of times people will draw a girl in a dress, and because they only draw the part of the leg that's showing, the legs don't actually feel like they're headed towards the hips. You may not know what I'm talking about, but when you start doing illustration, you're going to realize, you're going to be like, oops, that just happened to me. So I always build the entire body, even if she's not wearing a leotard. I usually build the whole body before I draw any clothes. Oh, I got the knees in the wrong. It's supposed to be down here. And why do I do that? So that I understand how all the body parts are working together before I put the clothes in them. And that's just me. You know, different illustrators, different designers have different approaches. But I love figure drawing so much that I like to see that whole body first. Now here is another really important tool. I'm glad I took it farther than I had to. Here's another really important tool, guys and gals, is that, okay, this arm is over her hip, okay, but that's okay. I can still draw that leg and then, you know, make the hand darker as it overlaps. And then, no, the really tricky one is, you see how this leg looks super skinny? It's because my brain said one leg, two legs, these are separate. Yes, they're separate, but she's rotated. Her center front body line is way over here. That means that this leg is overlapping this leg, and let me show you. So for 8 heads proportion, the crotch level, hi Tomiko, you're gonna like this one. It's always, I put it around on the 4th line. Oh no, I clicked something. Let me go back. This is my Pinterest board. Okay, but look, even though her crotch is up, I'm knocking everything over, is up here, her legs visually are splitting way down here. A lot of people struggle with this, and that's why they end up, that's why people, when you're not super skilled, you're just going to use super skinny legs. But isn't it better to know how to draw? So look, if the crotch is up here, but the legs are splitting here, even though you know they separate here. Let me show you how that works in the drawing. Is that I draw her whole leg, and I just have to really pay attention where the separation is really happening. And, you know, it's really here. So how can you make sure you're just, one is being aware that anytime she's rotated, one leg is going to overlap the other leg. And you might think that looks strange, and a great way to feel less strange about it is when you shade the leg that's behind. You know, you darken it a little bit. Oh, wait, this is... Now, actually, I brought her crotch too far down. I'm supposed to... It looks better. I keep it up on the foreline. Same thing here. This arm is in front of her here, so I can actually... I'm looking at the photo. There's a shadow here anyway, so I'm just going to lay down some tone. Okay. And so you see this arm is in front of the body. This leg is in front of this leg. And this leg is also in front of this arm. And guess what that means? Think about it. That means you actually have 1, 2, 3, 4 levels of space on your page, which means that your drawing is not flat anymore. There's like all these layers, and there's something very exciting and dynamic about that. And that's why if you are on my Pinterest board that says model file, what's it called? Model file for sketch class, you'll find that all of those photos are head to toe, and that they also have good shadows. See, this dramatic lighting really helps you see where the lights and darks are. And don't worry, you don't need to blend every shade of light and dark. What you do is you look, and if you squint when you look at this, it'll be very easy for you to see the lightest light and the darkest dark, and not so many variations in between. And that's one of the most useful skills you could ever have as well. But choosing good photos is always going to help. So the last bit I'm going to do is, I said I was going to use my quote-unquote X-ray vision again. Maybe that's what I do. We have a lot in common, Tamiko. I think that's what I do too, because every time I try to comment on something, I get kicked out too. So I'm trying to draw the, what do you call it? And the arm in the background. Now here's the thing, if I make it darker, it helps me have those layers of space. But in this photo, it's not really darker, but oftentimes it is. So in this case, I'm not drawing what I see, but I'm drawing what I know. I know that the things I draw darker are going to wrap around into the background. And the final thing I want to leave you guys with is to remember that if I draw her with no shadows, she's going to look much wider than she is. Once you shade this optical illusion, because shading puts things in the background, she starts to be wrapped, instead of being flat and wide, she becomes wrapped around cylindrical. So, two things I believe fashion people really need to get used to again is drawing people as wide as they really are and learning to shade, because if you shade proper, then you don't need to keep drawing people that look like sticks or something. Okay? So this is kind of just a quickie. I have a student in Germany named Joanna, or maybe it's Joanna. She's actually I can't remember what country she's from. She lives in Germany, and she's from an African country. And she had this question for me, and I said, oh my gosh, you asked me this last week, and I didn't answer you yet. I'm going to make you a video right now. So here it is. And you know what? I'm going to give you a special bonus before we hang up. I'm going to take my brush pen and draw in the details of her leotard. Maybe that's a mistake, but just to give you a little design drawing. Even though I'm using a brush pen, so you'll be able to see. And what I'm doing is I'm drawing the edges of this bathing suit. Oh wow, there's like little bumpy contours here. Then there's like a big like wrap, because it has like all these gathers that go around and over. Okay, I'm not looking, I don't know if there's any comments, but I'm definitely not looking at the screen right now. And there's lots of little ripples on the edges because this whole suit is covered with shirring or ruching or whatever you like to call it. I'm actually going to get a little more specific about her hand while I'm here too. Hands are something I always used to blow off because I was mostly interested in them getting the clothes accurate, but now I'm getting more and more into illustrating. I just got overcoming my challenges. The hands was one of them. It's like, I'm not a hand designer, I'm a clothes designer. There's a heavy, darker line here and more gathers here. And, okay, and then all of this also gets the ripply edge because this is all ruched or sheared or whatever word. And I noticed that the ruching takes on different directions with the body. And then there's less ruching at the bottom. I might want to put in these little stitch lines. There's a really, really black space here, and that makes sense because one leg is overlapping the other. And the contours, the kind of line drawing I'm doing now is probably like, another thing we'll talk about in another kind of lesson. There's all kinds, like, as I'm drawing this, I have a voice inside my brain that's like, oh yeah, you got to teach them that tool. You got to teach them that tool. Because I have like a whole toolbox in my brain that I use every time I go to illustrate. And it's coming out right now. And I'm looking at her hair. There's a strong shadow between her hair and her face, which makes a lot of sense because her hair is like overlapping her face. And now I promised my daughter I'd take her for a little outing. She's been playing quietly all morning, so hang on. All right, I hope that was helpful. Actually, I can tell I have to do some work on this because she looks a lot skinnier than the drawing. So I'm gonna have to I'll do another version. I didn't really screw my head on all the way before I started this. I just decided to jump in on it, but I'd like it to be a plus-size demo. I don't think she looks, maybe she does, the same body type as the figure, but it's a good start. And, that's another thing is a really good exercise is to do any drawing, and then when you finish it, do it again. Because you make so many discoveries, and whatever you didn't like, you get like a fix it. When you add her shoes, you want me to do the shoes? You know why I blew that off a little? Because I kind of ran out of paper. Oh my gosh, because one of the most common things in my design classes, I'm not designing hands, I'm designing clothes. A lot of people, because they're annoyed or irritated by feet, they just won't even, oh my gosh, they won't even put them on at all. And not doing their feet, it's true. Psychologically, it just doesn't feel finished or done. And I feel like this one, I don't have all the room I wanted for these. She's got ankle straps and then like a beaded thong thing over here, and then here's her toes, but she's like on a platform and you can't see the platform shoe. And someone's at the door, come in. Then we have ankle strap, foot, hi mom, thong, and another platform shoe. And then a really important point is that one shoe's in front of the other. So again, shading right there is going to give one in front of the other. My drawing. Thank you. Thanks everyone who joined. My link is in my bio. I'm a fashion illustrator and designer, so I help with creative, professional, technical, and soul-seeking techniques of art. And I'm so happy you're with us. Knows me. I can't find my ebony pencil, but the ones I have, they're by Prismacolor brand. Have a blessed day, you guys. I love you. On Instagram, I'm Laura Volbin-Testa. My website, Fashion Illustration Tribe, is linked here in Periscope, so you could subscribe or check out my resources there. But Instagram's my favorite place to hang out, and so is Periscope. And I'm here every day at 12 during the week, 12 Eastern Standard Time. And some other times too. Thank you. 1 o'clock on Thursdays, I have a show on Love in Action TV. And I usually do a music show on Thursdays at 2. So that's some of our programming. I'll throw all that up on Instagram this week so people can know. Thanks for your wonderful support, Tamiko. You're the best. I gotta go.